Marcus Chen stood at the edge of the fighting pit, looking down at the dirt-covered arena below. The air smelled of sweat, blood, and the strange chemical scents that came from dozens of different alien species all packed into one place. The underground fighting arena of Nexus Prime was not where he wanted to be, but his broken ship needed repairs, and repairs cost money. "Next fight," shouted the arena master, a four-armed creature with green skin and too many teeth. "Marcus Chen, human, against Krelthak the Bone Crusher." The crowd erupted in laughter. Humans were new to the galaxy, and most aliens saw them as weak. They were small compared to most species, had no natural armor, no claws, no special abilities, just soft skin and basic tools. The betting odds were heavily against Marcus. Marcus jumped down into the pit. He wore only simple pants and boots. No armor, no weapons, no protective gear. The crowd laughed harder. Some threw food scraps at him. Human called out a Zolothi traitor. "Where are your weapons? Your armor? Are you trying to die?" Marcus ignored them. He had been in worse situations during his time in Earth's military. Back then he fought in wars between human nations. Now he fought for survival in a galaxy that did not respect his species. On the other side of the pit, a massive gate opened. Out walked Krelthak, and the crowd fell silent. The Krell were known throughout the galaxy as natural killing machines. They stood 3 meters tall, had thick gray skin like armor and claws that could cut through metal. Their faces looked like nightmares, with rows of sharp teeth and black eyes that showed no mercy. Krelthak was bigger than most of his kind. Scars covered his body, proof of countless fights. He carried a massive club with metal spikes. The weapon was taller than Marcus and looked like it could crush a small vehicle. High above the arena, in the VIP viewing section, Zarathek leaned forward in her seat. She was Vorthak, a species that valued strength above all else. The Vorthak were the galaxy's greatest warriors. Their natural armor plating, enhanced strength, and warrior culture made them feared across star systems. Zarathek had never lost a fight. She had come to the arena to watch strong fighters, but the human confused her. Why would such a weak creature enter the pit with no protection? Was this some kind of joke? "The human will die in seconds," said Captain Veltar, sitting beside her. He commanded the Vorthak ship that brought them to Nexus Prime. "Krelthak has killed 47 opponents in this arena." Zarathek said nothing. She watched as the two fighters faced each other in the center of the pit. Krelthak roared, a sound that made the arena walls shake. He raised his massive club above his head. The crowd cheered, expecting to see the human crushed like an insect. But Marcus did not run. He did not freeze in fear. Instead, he studied his opponent. He watched how Krelthak moved, how he held his weapon, where his armor was thickest and where it might be weaker. The Krell warrior charged forward, swinging his club down with enough force to break stone. Marcus rolled to the side at the last second. The club hit the ground where he had been standing, creating a small crater. The crowd gasped. The human was fast. Krelthak spun around, swinging his club sideways. Marcus ducked under the attack and moved closer to his opponent. This surprised everyone. Most fighters tried to stay away from Krell warriors. Getting close to those claws meant death, but Marcus understood something others did not. The massive club was powerful, but it was also slow and heavy. Up close, Krelthak could not use it effectively. The human moved inside the weapon's reach. Krelthak dropped his club and slashed with his claws. Marcus grabbed the alien's wrist and used the creature's own momentum against him. He twisted and threw the much larger opponent over his shoulder. Krelthak crashed to the ground, surprised. No one had ever thrown him before. He rolled away and got back to his feet, now angry instead of confident. Zarathek's eyes widened. The human had just demonstrated perfect combat technique. He used leverage and timing instead of brute strength. It was elegant. It was intelligent. It was something she had never seen before. The fight continued. Krelthak was stronger and better armored, but Marcus was smarter and more adaptable. When the alien tried to corner him, Marcus used the arena walls to change direction. When Krelthak grabbed for him, Marcus slipped away like water. Marcus began targeting specific spots on his opponent's body. He hit pressure points, stressed joints, and gradually wore down the larger fighter. Each strike was precise and calculated. "How does he know where to hit?" Captain Veltar asked. "Krell anatomy is not common knowledge. He learns as he fights," Zarathek replied quietly. "Watch his eyes. He studies every reaction, every weakness." This was true. Marcus paid attention to everything. When he hit Krelthak's left knee, the alien favored his right leg. When he struck a nerve cluster in the neck, the creature's left arm moved slower. The human collected information like a computer and used it immediately. The crowd grew quiet as they realized what was happening. The human was winning, not through superior strength or weapons, but through intelligence and skill. Krelthak made one final desperate attack. He lunged forward with both claws extended, trying to grab the human and tear him apart. Marcus waited until the last possible moment, then stepped aside and grabbed the alien's arm. He used Krelthak's own charging momentum to throw him face-first into the arena wall. The impact was tremendous. Krelthak hit the stone wall with the force of a speeding vehicle. He slumped to the ground and did not get up. The arena fell completely silent. No one could believe what they had just seen. A human, the weakest species in known space, had defeated one of the galaxy's most feared warriors. Without weapons, without armor, using only his bare hands and his mind, Marcus stood over his fallen opponent, breathing hard but victorious. He looked up at the crowd, meeting their stares with quiet confidence. In the VIP section, Zarathek felt something she had never experienced before. Her warrior instincts, trained to recognize strength and worthiness in battle, responded to what she had witnessed. This human had shown a kind of strength her people did not understand, but which called to something deep inside her. She leaned forward, her predatory instincts fully aroused. In her native Vorthak language, she whispered words that would change both their lives. "I want him to be mine." Captain Veltar heard her and turned in shock. "Zarathek, you cannot be serious. He is human. They are weak, inferior. Did you not see the same fight I did?" She interrupted. That human just defeated Krelthak with nothing but intelligence and skill. He turned weakness into strength. He made the impossible possible. Down in the arena, Marcus collected his prize money and headed toward the exit. He had no idea that the galaxy's greatest female warrior was watching him, or that his life was about to become much more complicated. The arena slowly came back to life as aliens began discussing what they had witnessed. Some claimed the fight was fixed. Others argued that humans might be more dangerous than anyone realized. But Zarathek ignored all the talk. She had found something rare in the galaxy, a warrior worth claiming. Now she just had to figure out how to make him hers. 3 days after the arena fight, Marcus Chen sat in a repair shop watching technicians work on his damaged ship. The fight money had been enough to fix the worst problems, but he still needed more credits for a full repair. That meant taking another job. Marcus Chen, a tall figure, approached him. The alien was clearly consortium military, wearing the blue and silver uniform of their security forces. "I am Commander Thexmar. I have a job offer for you." Marcus looked up from his data pad. Commander Thexmar was Zelothi, a species known for their careful nature and attention to detail. Their gray skin and large black eyes made them look serious all the time. "What kind of job?" Marcus asked. "Protection duty. A trade delegation is traveling through the Outer Rim sectors. Pirates have been active in that area. We need additional security." Marcus frowned. "You have consortium ships and trained soldiers. Why hire a freelancer? Your reputation has grown since the arena fight," Thexmar explained. "Word is spreading that humans might be more capable than we first thought. Some of our clients specifically requested human protection." What Marcus did not know was that Zarathek had spent the last 3 days learning everything she could about him. She had accessed military records, employment files, and personal data. She discovered that Marcus Chen was a former Earth Defense Force specialist who had served in 3 different wars before humanity joined the galactic community. His service record impressed her. Marcus had led rescue missions in hostile territory, survived behind enemy lines for weeks, and earned medals for saving civilian lives. But what interested her most was his psychological profile. Marcus was listed as someone who finds unconventional solutions to impossible problems and builds trust across cultural barriers. Zarathek had used her influence with the consortium military to ensure she was assigned as the trade delegation's primary escort. She wanted to see how this human performed in real combat situations, not just arena fights. 2 hours later, Marcus boarded the transport ship Stellar Wind. The ship was large enough to carry the trade delegation, their cargo, and a full security team. As he walked through the corridors, he noticed the other security personnel were all experienced professionals from various species. "Human," called a voice behind him. Marcus turned to see a towering figure in Vorthak armor approaching. He recognized her immediately from news broadcasts. Zarathek was famous throughout the galaxy as one of the greatest living warriors. Zarathek, Marcus said with a respectful nod. I did not expect to work with someone of your reputation. Nor I with yours, she replied. Your fight against Krelthak was interesting. Marcus studied her carefully. Zarathek stood over 2 meters tall with the natural armor plating that made Vorthak so dangerous in combat. But her eyes showed intelligence along with predatory instincts. This was not just a killing machine, but a thinking warrior. You were there? He asked. I was. Tell me, human, how did you know where to strike your opponent? Krell physiology is not commonly taught. Marcus shrugged. I watched and learned. Every species has weaknesses, you just have to find them. This answer fascinated Zarathek. Most warriors relied on training and experience. This human adapted in real time, learning his enemy's weaknesses during the fight itself. The delegation's journey began smoothly. The convoy consisted of 5 ships, the main transport, 2 cargo vessels, and 2 escort fighters. They would spend 6 days traveling through space known to be dangerous. During the first day, Marcus demonstrated the qualities that had made him successful as a soldier. He did not just guard the delegation members. He talked to them, learned about their concerns, and made them feel safe. He organized the security teams into efficient patrols and created communication schedules that kept everyone informed. Zarathek watched all of this with growing interest. Vorthak warriors were trained to dominate through strength and intimidation. Marcus led through competence and respect. People followed him because they trusted him, not because they feared him. On the second day, they encountered their first problem. The convoy's sensors detected 3 ships following them at long range. Pirates often use this tactic, tracking targets before attacking. We should increase speed and try to outrun them, suggested the convoy commander. No, Marcus said during the strategy meeting. If we run, they will know we are afraid. That makes us look like easy targets. If we maintain course and speed, they might decide we are too confident to be worth the risk. Zarathek agreed with this logic. The human is correct. Pirates prefer weak prey, show strength, and they often seek easier targets. The decision proved wise. The following ships fell back and disappeared after a few hours. On the 4th day, the convoy was not so lucky. A full pirate fleet emerged from hyperspace directly in their path. 8 attack ships and a command vessel blocked their route. There was no way to avoid a fight. Attention convoy, came a message from the pirate leader. Surrender your cargo and we will let you live. Resist and die. Marcus was in the communication center when the message arrived. He immediately took charge of the situation. All security teams to battle stations, he announced over the ship's communication system. Escort fighters maintain formation but do not engage until I give the order. Cargo ships move to the center of our formation. You cannot hope to defeat 9 pirate ships with 2 escorts, said the convoy commander. We are not trying to defeat them, Marcus replied. We are trying to survive them. Zarathek watched from the command deck as Marcus coordinated the defense. He did not panic or make desperate orders. Instead, he turned their small convoy into a unified fighting force. Cargo Ship 2, angle your shields to protect Cargo Ship 1. Transport Ship, use your bulk to shield the smaller vessels. All ships, link your defensive systems and share shield power. The pirates attacked expecting an easy victory. Instead, they found their targets had become a single coordinated unit. When they fired at one ship, the others provided covering fire. When they tried to separate the convoy, the ships moved together like a dance. Marcus directed the battle like a conductor leading an orchestra. He coordinated every ship's movements, weapon firing patterns, and defense strategies. What should have been a massacre became a fierce battle. The human fights like a Vorthak war leader, Captain Veltar observed, watching from his own ship nearby. No, Zarathek corrected. He fights better. Vorthak leaders command through dominance. This human commands through trust. His people follow him because they believe in him. The battle turned when Marcus made a bold decision. While the escorts kept the pirates busy, he took a small security team aboard a cargo ship and flew it directly at the pirate command vessel. What is he doing? Someone asked over the communication channel. Zarathek smiled. Something unexpected. Marcus rammed the cargo ship into the pirate command vessel, but not to destroy it. At the last moment, he used the ship's emergency systems to lock onto the pirate ship. Then he and his team boarded the enemy vessel through the docking connection. The pirates never expected anyone to attack their command ship. Marcus led his team through the corridors, fighting with improvised weapons and tactical brilliance. They captured the pirate leader and forced the remaining ships to retreat. When the battle ended, the entire convoy was intact. No one had died and the cargo was safe. It should have been impossible. In the aftermath, as damaged ships were repaired and reports were filed, Zarathek approached Marcus in the ship's recreation area. "That was well fought, human," she said. "Thank you. Your escort ships made the difference. Without their firepower, my plan would not have worked." "You give others credit for your victory?" Marcus looked surprised. "It was not my victory. It was our victory. Everyone contributed." This answer confirmed what Zarathek had begun to suspect. This human possessed a rare quality. He made others stronger. He did not just win battles. He inspired others to become better than they thought possible. In Vorac culture, when a warrior found another worthy of their respect and desire, they issued a formal challenge. The winner would claim the other as their mate and partner. Zarathek had made her decision. This human would be hers one way or another. When the convoy returned to Nexus Prime, Marcus expected to collect his payment and find another job. Instead, he found himself at the center of a diplomatic crisis that would change his life forever. Zarathek had followed Vorac tradition. She formally challenged Marcus to single combat, with the winner claiming the other as their partner. The problem was that Marcus had no idea what this meant. "You want to fight me?" Marcus asked when Zarathek made her challenge public. They stood in the station's central meeting hall, surrounded by representatives from dozens of species. "Why? It is our way," Zarathek replied. "You have proven worthy. Now we must determine who is stronger." Marcus looked around at the crowd of aliens watching them. Some seemed excited, others appeared worried. He noticed that the human diplomatic representative looked very nervous. "Okay," Marcus said finally. "I accept." The crowd erupted in discussion. A Vorac warrior challenging a human was unprecedented. If Marcus won, it could change how the galaxy viewed humanity. If he lost badly, it might confirm that humans were weak. Ambassador Sarah Kim, Earth's representative on Nexus Prime, approached Marcus after the crowd dispersed. "Do you understand what you just agreed to?" she asked. "This is not just a fight. In Vorac culture, this kind of challenge is a mating ritual. If you win, she becomes your partner. If she wins, you become hers." Marcus stared at her. "She wants to marry me?" "It is more complicated than marriage. Vorac partnerships are based on mutual strength and respect. She sees you as worthy of being her equal. And if I refuse the challenge, you would be seen as a coward throughout the galaxy. It would damage not just your reputation, but humanity's reputation as well." Marcus spent the next week preparing for the fight while diplomats from various species tried to understand what was happening. The challenge had become major news throughout the consortium. Betting pools formed on dozens of worlds. During the preparation time, Zarathek and Marcus were required to spend time together. It was part of Vorac tradition, allowing both fighters to judge their opponent's character. "Why me?" Marcus asked one evening as they sat in the station's observation deck, watching ships come and go. "There must be stronger warriors in the galaxy." "Strength is not just physical power," Zarathek replied. "I have seen you fight. You turn disadvantages into advantages. You make others believe they can achieve impossible things. This is rare." Marcus studied her profile as she looked out at the stars. "What happens if I win?" "Then you prove humans are worthy of respect, and I become your partner in all things. And if you win, the same but reversed." Marcus frowned. "That does not sound fair to whoever loses." Zarathek turned to look at him. "Fairness is not the point. Partnership is about finding someone who makes you stronger. If you defeat me, I want to learn from you. If I defeat you, perhaps you can learn from me." Over the following days, they learned about each other's cultures. Marcus discovered that Vorac society was built entirely around concepts of strength and honor. They respected only those who could prove themselves in combat. Their partnerships were not based on emotion or attraction, but on mutual respect earned through struggle. Zarathek learned that human relationships were very different. Humans bonded through shared experiences, emotional connections, and common goals. The idea of fighting someone to prove love seemed strange to Marcus. "Your species is confusing," she told him. "You form partnerships with weak individuals. How does this make you stronger? We do not measure strength the same way you do." Marcus explained. A human partner might be physically weak but emotionally strong, or intelligent, or creative. We value different kinds of strength. Show me, Zarathek challenged. Marcus thought for a moment, then activated his personal communication device. Sarah, can you join us in the observation deck? And bring Dr. Rodriguez if he's available. 20 minutes later, Ambassador Kim arrived with Dr. Carlos Rodriguez, a human scientist working on the station. Zarathek, I want you to meet two humans who demonstrate different kinds of strength, Marcus said. Ambassador Kim has never won a physical fight in her life, but she negotiates treaties between species that hate each other. Dr. Rodriguez could not defeat a child in combat, but he created the medical technology that saved 300 lives during the Outer Rim plague. Marcus gestured to his friends. These humans make our entire species stronger. Not through physical power, but through intelligence, diplomacy, and innovation. They turn our weaknesses into advantages. Zarathek studied the two humans carefully. Both were small and weak by Vorthak standards, but she began to understand Marcus's point. A species could be strong in ways that had nothing to do with individual combat ability. Interesting, she said finally. Perhaps there is wisdom in your approach. The night before their fight, Marcus could not sleep. He had been in many battles, but never one where the stakes were so personal and so political. If he lost badly, it would confirm galactic prejudices about human weakness. If he won, he would gain a partner he barely understood. He found Zarathek in the station's training facility, practicing combat forms in the dark. Cannot sleep either, he asked. I am considering what will happen tomorrow, she replied, not stopping her practice routine. My people will be watching. Your people will be watching. The entire galaxy will judge us both. Are you worried? Zarathek paused in her routine. I am worried that I may hurt you badly. You are skilled, but I am much stronger. Vorthak bones are like metal, our skin like armor. You are soft. Marcus appreciated her concern. I am tougher than I look, and I did not accept this challenge planning to lose. How will you defeat me? I have studied your fighting style. You use leverage and timing against larger opponents, but I am trained to counter such tactics, Marcus smiled. Then I will have to find a new approach. The fight took place in Nexus Prime's main arena, the same place where Marcus had defeated Krelthak. But this time the arena was packed with spectators from across the galaxy. News crews from dozens of worlds broadcast the event. Representatives from major governments attended in person. Marcus entered the arena wearing simple combat clothing and carrying no weapons. The crowd cheered, but he could hear uncertainty in their voices. Many still saw humans as weak. Zarathek entered from the opposite side wearing traditional Vorthak combat armor and carrying weapons that could cut through steel. The armor covered her from head to toe with only small gaps at the joints. Her weapons included a curved blade and an energy shield. The two fighters met in the center of the arena. Are you ready, human? Zarathek asked. As ready as I can be, Marcus replied. Then let us begin. The fight started unlike any Marcus had experienced before. Zarathek was not just stronger and better armored than previous opponents. She was also highly trained and intelligent. She had studied his fighting style and prepared counters for his usual tactics. When Marcus tried to get close and use leverage against her, she used her energy shield to keep him at distance. When he attempted to target weak points in her armor, she moved to protect those areas. When he tried to use the arena environment to his advantage, she anticipated his moves and cut off his options. For the first time since arriving in the galaxy, Marcus found himself fighting an opponent who was superior in every measurable way. Zarathek was stronger, better equipped, and just as smart as he was. But Marcus had learned something important during his time in space. Humans were at their best when facing impossible odds. The greater the challenge, the more creative they became. Instead of trying to match Zarathek's strengths, Marcus began to do something unexpected. He started talking to her during the fight. Your armor is impressive, he said while dodging a sword strike. But it must be heavy. Does it slow you down? Why do you speak during combat? Zarathek replied, pursuing him around the arena. Because talking is what humans do best, Marcus answered, rolling under another attack. We solve problems by discussing them. This confused Zarathek. In Vorthak culture, combat was serious and silent. Warriors proved themselves through action, not words. But as the fight continued, Marcus kept talking. He complimented her technique, asked questions about her training, and even made jokes about their situation. The audience found this entertaining, but Zarathek found it distracting. More importantly, Marcus was learning. Each exchange of words taught him something about Vorthak culture, combat philosophy, and Zarathek herself. He began to understand not just how she fought, but why she fought. The turning point came when Marcus realized something crucial. Zarathek was not trying to destroy him. She was testing him. This was not a battle to the death, but a test of worthiness. Understanding this changed everything. Once Marcus understood that Zarathek was testing him rather than trying to kill him, the fight changed completely. He stopped trying to defeat her and started trying to prove himself worthy. "I understand now," Marcus said, blocking another sword strike with a piece of arena debris. "This is not about winning or losing. This is about showing what we are made of." Zarathek paused in her attack. "You learn quickly for such a young species." "Then let me show you what humans are really capable of," Marcus replied. Instead of running from her attacks, Marcus began to engage more directly. But he did it in a uniquely human way. He started working with Zarathek instead of against her, turning their fight into a demonstration of what two different species could accomplish together. When she attacked with her sword, he would dodge in a way that set her up for a more impressive follow-up strike. When he counterattacked, he aimed for her armor in places that would make a good sound but not cause real damage. They began to move together like dancers, each making the other look more skilled. The crowd noticed the change. What had started as a brutal combat became something beautiful and strange. The two fighters moved with increasing coordination, as if they were performing a rehearsed routine. "What are they doing?" Ambassador Kim asked Dr. Rodriguez in the VIP section. "I think Marcus is trying to communicate something," the scientist replied. "He is showing her that humans can adapt to any situation, even one as foreign as a Vorthak mating challenge." In the arena, Marcus and Zarathek continued their strange dance of combat. With each exchange, they learned more about each other's capabilities and fighting styles. More importantly, they began to understand how their different approaches could complement each other. "Your species is very unusual," Zarathek said as they circled each other. "You turn conflict into cooperation. Only when cooperation serves everyone better than conflict," Marcus replied. "Sometimes fighting is necessary, but sometimes understanding is stronger than victory." Their fight was interrupted by alarms blaring throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed, and a voice over the communication system announced a crisis that would test everything Marcus and Zarathek had learned about each other. "All ships and personnel. This is Nexus Prime Command. Long-range sensors have detected a Devourer fleet approaching our position. Estimated arrival time 6 hours. All military vessels prepare for evacuation duties." This is not a drill. The arena fell silent. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the Devourers. They were a hive mind species that consumed other civilizations, turning their technology and biology into weapons. No one had ever successfully fought them off. Marcus and Zarathek stood in the center of the arena, their personal challenge suddenly meaningless compared to the threat facing everyone on the station. "The challenge is postponed," Zarathek announced to the crowd. "We have more important matters to attend to." But Marcus shook his head. "No, this is exactly when our challenge matters most. If we are going to be partners, we need to prove we can work together when everything is at stake." Captain Veltar approached the arena floor. "Zarathek, I need you aboard our ship immediately. We are coordinating the defense with other Vorthak vessels." "What about the evacuation?" Marcus asked. "How many civilian ships can escape before the Devourers arrive?" "Not enough," Captain Veltar admitted. "Maybe half the station population. The rest will have to fight or hide and hope for the best." Marcus looked around at the crowd of aliens still in the arena. Most were civilians, traders, diplomats, families. They had no military training and no weapons capable of fighting Devourers. "There has to be another way," he said. Zarathek studied Marcus's face. She could see him thinking, analyzing the problem like he analyzed opponents in combat. "What are you considering, human? The Devourers are a hive mind, right? They operate through perfect coordination and overwhelming numbers, but that also means they all think the same way." "Yes, it makes them very difficult to defeat. They adapt to any strategy quickly and share that knowledge instantly." Marcus smiled, but it was not a happy expression. "That is also their weakness. If they all think the same way, they cannot handle opponents who think differently. Explain. Vorthak tactics are based on honor, strength, and direct confrontation. Devourer hive minds can analyze and counter that. But human tactics are based on unpredictability, adaptation, and creative problem-solving. We do things that make no logical sense, which confuses enemies who rely on pattern recognition. Zarathek began to understand. You want to combine Vorthak strength with human unpredictability. Exactly. But it would require unprecedented cooperation between our species. Vorthak warriors would have to follow human tactical plans that might seem crazy or dishonorable. And humans would have to fight alongside beings much stronger than themselves. In battles they might not survive, Marcus nodded. It would be the ultimate test of partnership. Are you willing to try? Zarathek looked around at the thousands of aliens in the arena, all of them depending on the military to save them. Traditional tactics had never worked against Devourers. Maybe it was time to try something new. Yes, she said, but we will need permission from both our command structures. The next few hours were chaos. Marcus and Zarathek worked together to convince military leaders from multiple species to try their experimental approach. Many Vorthak commanders were insulted by the suggestion that they should follow human tactical advice. Many human officers worried that their soldiers would be killed trying to keep up with Vorthak warriors. But Captain Veltar supported the plan, and Ambassador Kim used her diplomatic skills to help negotiate agreements between the different military groups. You realize this is completely insane, Dr. Rodriguez told Marcus as they prepared for battle. You are asking humans to fight alongside beings who could accidentally crush them just by moving too quickly. And I am asking Vorthak to follow tactics that go against everything their culture teaches them, Marcus replied. But if it works, we save everyone on this station. If it fails, we were all dead anyway. The first joint training session was a disaster. Human soldiers could not keep up with Vorthak movement speeds. Vorthak warriors could not understand human tactical concepts like controlled retreat and strategic deception. The two groups fought each other more than they fought together. But Marcus and Zarathek had learned to work together during their challenge fight. They used those lessons to help bridge the gap between their species. Stop thinking like separate armies, Marcus told the combined forces. Start thinking like different parts of the same body. Humans are the brain, providing tactics and coordination. Vorthak are the muscles, providing strength and protection. Neither can succeed without the other. Zarathek addressed the Vorthak warriors in their own language, explaining that following human tactics was not weakness, but a new form of strength. She convinced them that adapting to new forms of combat required more courage than repeating old patterns. Slowly, the joint units began to function. Human tactical coordinators learned to give orders that matched Vorthak fighting styles. Vorthak warriors learned to trust human intelligence and creativity. When the Devourer fleet arrived at Nexus Prime, they expected to face the same resistance they had encountered everywhere else. Individual species fighting separately, using predictable tactics based on their cultural traditions. Instead, they found something they had never seen before. Multiple species working together as a unified force, using tactics that combine the best abilities of each group. The battle for Nexus Prime began with the Devourers completely confident of victory. They had consumed hundreds of worlds and defeated every military force they had encountered, but they had never fought humans and Vorthak working together. They had never faced warriors who could adapt their strategy in the middle of battle. They had never encountered tactics that deliberately made no sense from a logical perspective. Marcus coordinated the overall strategy, while Zarathek led the direct combat operations. Together, they created a new form of warfare that would change the galaxy forever. The real test of their partnership was about to begin. The Devourer fleet arrived at Nexus Prime like a storm of living metal and hunger. Their ships looked wrong, as if they had been grown rather than built. Organic curves mixed with mechanical components in designs that hurt to look at. Each vessel pulsed with unnatural life. 57 ships, reported the sensor operator aboard Captain Veltar's command vessel. Size estimates range from frigate to dreadnought class. They are deploying in standard consumption formation. Marcus stood in the command center alongside Zarathek and the other military leaders. Through the viewing ports, he could see the enemy fleet spreading out to surround the station. The Devourers moved with perfect coordination, like a single organism with many parts. They are following expected patterns, Zarathek observed. Surround, isolate, consume, which is exactly what we want, Marcus replied. Traditional tactics would try to prevent encirclement. We are going to let them surround us, then turn their own formation against them. The combined human Vorac fleet was much smaller than the Devourer force, only 23 ships ranging from small fighters to medium cruisers. But each vessel now carried mixed crews and operated under the new Joint Tactical Doctrine. "All ships, this is Marcus Chen," he announced over the communication network. "Remember, we are not trying to destroy the enemy fleet. We are trying to confuse and disrupt them long enough for the civilian evacuation to complete. Phase 1 begins now." The first phase of Marcus's plan seemed like madness to anyone watching. Instead of forming defensive lines or preparing for siege warfare, the Allied ships scattered in all directions. Some flew directly at the Devourer fleet. Others retreated toward the station. A few seemed to be running away entirely. To the Devourer hive mind, this looked like panic and disorganization. They adjusted their formation to pursue what appeared to be fleeing ships, confident that the defenders had broken under pressure. But every fleeing ship was actually following precise coordinates. Every panicked maneuver was carefully planned. The human tactical coordinators had spent hours calculating exactly how to make organized retreat look like chaotic rout. "The Devourers are taking the bait," reported Zarathek. "Their pursuit groups are extending beyond mutual support range." "Perfect. Begin Phase 2. The scattered Allied ships suddenly changed course and converged on the extended Devourer pursuit groups. What had looked like retreat became coordinated strikes on isolated enemy vessels. Human tactical planning combined with Vorac fighting power proved devastatingly effective. But the real innovation was not in the large-scale strategy. It was in how individual ships fought. Aboard the cruiser Stellar Hammer, a mixed human Vorac crew demonstrated the new style of warfare. Human officers provided tactical coordination and technical innovation. Vorac warriors handled direct combat and damage control. When Devourer boarding pods attached to their hull, the response was unlike anything the invaders had encountered before. Instead of meeting them with direct resistance, the crew used human-designed traps and Vorac strength to create a deadly maze of obstacles. "Boarding parties detected on Deck 7, announced the human tactical officer. "Vorac teams, implement Labyrinth Protocol," ordered the Vorac commander. The Devourers expected to fight their way through ship corridors in standard patterns. Instead, they found passages that had been reconfigured in real time. Bulkheads moved, gravity fields shifted, and what should have been straight corridors became three-dimensional puzzles. When the confused invaders finally reached combat zones, they faced Vorac warriors who fought using human-inspired tactics. Instead of meeting attacks head-on, the defenders used hit-and-run strikes, environmental weapons, and psychological warfare. "The Devourers keep trying to adapt to our tactics," reported one Vorac warrior over the communication network. "But every time they figure out our patterns, the humans change the plan." This was the key to Marcus's strategy. The Devourer hive mind excelled at recognizing patterns and developing counters. But humans specialized in breaking their own patterns when necessary. They could abandon successful tactics just to keep the enemy confused. "Phase 3, all ships," Marcus announced. "Time for the finale." Throughout the battle, the Allied fleet had been gradually herding the Devourer ships into a specific area of space. To the hive mind, it looked like they were successfully surrounding and destroying the defenders. In reality, they had been maneuvered into the exact position Marcus wanted them. "Are you certain this will work?" Zarathek asked quietly. "No," Marcus admitted, "but it is the most unpredictable thing I can think of. If we cannot figure out what we are doing, the Devourers definitely cannot." Marcus activated the final phase of his plan. Hidden among the asteroids and debris around Nexus Prime were dozens of construction drones and mining equipment. Using Marcus's tactical coordination and Vorac engineering skills, these civilian machines had been converted into weapons, but not weapons in any traditional sense. Instead of trying to destroy Devourer ships, the mining equipment began to dismantle them. Giant industrial grippers grabbed onto enemy vessels and started taking them apart piece by piece. Construction drones swarmed over Devourer hulls, removing components and relocating them to different positions. The Devourer hive mind had never encountered anything like this. Their ships were designed to resist destruction, not disassembly. Their tactics included counters for every known weapon type, but not for being systematically taken apart by mining equipment. The enemy fleet is showing signs of confusion, reported the sensor operator. Some ships are firing on their own forces. This was exactly what Marcus had hoped for. The Devourer hive mind could not process what was happening to them. Their perfect coordination began to break down as they tried to understand tactics that made no logical sense. All ships press the attack, Zarathek commanded. Drive them back while they are confused. The final phase of the battle was unlike anything in recorded galactic history. Devourer ships fled from mining drones. Hive mind coordination collapsed as individual vessels tried to escape having their armor plating removed by construction equipment. The most feared military force in the galaxy was defeated by glorified space janitors. When the last Devourer ship jumped to hyperspace, Nexus Prime erupted in celebration. The impossible had happened. The unstoppable enemy had been stopped. In the command center, Marcus and Zarathek stood exhausted but victorious. "Your plan worked," she said with something that might have been amazement in her voice. "You defeated the Devourers using mining equipment and construction drones." "We defeated them," Marcus corrected. "Your warriors made it possible. Human tactics without Vorthak's strength would have failed just as completely as Vorthak's strength without human tactics." Captain Veltar approached them with a formal expression. "Zarathek, the High Command wishes to speak with you about establishing permanent human-Vorthak military cooperation. They believe this new form of warfare could change the balance of power in the galaxy. And Ambassador Kim wants to discuss setting up joint training academies," Dr. Rodriguez added, joining the group. "Every species in the consortium is requesting access to these new tactical doctrines." But Marcus and Zarathek were no longer paying attention to the politics and planning. They were looking at each other, finally understanding what their challenge fight had really been about. "Your challenge is complete," Marcus said quietly. "We have proven we can work together when everything is at stake." "Yes," Zarathek agreed. "But the challenge was never about proving worthiness through combat. It was about proving worthiness through partnership." She stepped closer to him. "According to Vorthak tradition, I should now declare you my mate and partner. But I have learned from human customs as well. So I ask, Marcus Chen, will you be my partner in all things? Will you help me build something stronger than either of us could achieve alone?" Marcus smiled. "Yes, Zarathek. I will be your partner. But not because either of us won or lost a fight. Because we chose to become something new together." Around them, the command center staff cheered. But the real celebration was happening throughout the galaxy, as news spread that the Devourers had been defeated by cooperation between species. 6 months later, the Marcus Zara Training Academy opened on a joint human-Vorthak colony world. Students from dozens of species came to learn the new style of warfare that combined different strengths into unified force. Marcus and Zarathek ran the academy together, teaching others what they had learned about partnership, not domination or submission, but mutual growth and respect. Their relationship had started with her whispered words, "I want him to be mine." But it had evolved into something neither species had imagined, true partnership between equals who made each other stronger. And across the galaxy, other species began to understand that humans brought something unique to galactic civilization, not superior technology or physical strength, but the ability to find strength in cooperation and turn weakness into advantage. The age of human isolation was over. The age of human integration had begun.